wanted to start off and ask both of you. I'm wondering. I mean, like I know Zach generally tends to kind of write big kind of character bibles for all of the roles, and I'm wondering. I mean, were there any kind of real life people that he had, connect with your characters in any kind of way, or was it just sort of kind of pulled out of his imagination? I guess.
I don't have any recollection of him pulling Cora from any particular real life person. I think Cora was purely out of his imagination. What about you?
Some of the references he gave me at the beginning were, I don't want to give any spoilers, but Colonel Kurtz in Apocalypse Now.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
Kind of, yeah. There's some of that in the trajectory. Amon Goeth, who's yeah, which I think you can understand. Amon Goeth, the character that Ralph Fiennes played in Schindler's List. This is someone who was a real life character in Germany. He was a track and field star in school. He had no history of violence. He had no criminal convictions. And then the war started and he joined the SS party, and he was sent out to the middle of nowhere in Germany. And when he had this power at the concentration camp, much like Noble has been sent out to what he describes as the backwaters of the galaxy to find these insurgents, the Blood Excellence, he's been given this role and this power, and without anyone around to monitor him, his power is completely corrupted, and he uses it for horrific means, and that's very similar to Goethe out there. So that was a good reference. And then there's moments of film references of like Gary Oldman in Leon. Then
he gave you that reference?
No, I worked on that with my acting coach. But then you find it from elsewhere as well. Like my voice is I based it on Olivia Colman in The Crown, because I was like, my angularity, the kind of the way I look, and the masculinity of how I look, and obviously my costume and everything. I was like, I need to offset this and make this idiosyncratic in some way. And I feel like he's so, at points, so conversational that it was like, how can I do this? And I really loved what Coleman did in The Crown, and I loved the way that she was so kind of, the cadence. Of
yeah.
So maybe you see that reference. I don't know if she would be happy that that she was a part of Noble.
It's weird because it oddly made it more terrifying, to be honest. Like someone speaking that kind of like like that kind of like polite and gentle, but you're wearing like this space fascist uniform, and it's like, oh God, what are they going to do next?
Yeah.
I'm wondering. I mean, just you kind of mentioned there Ray Fiennes and Schindler's List and all the rest of it. I'm wondering, just again for both of you. I mean, when you're going into this kind of film that, obviously it's, as we say, like it's a space opera and all the rest of it. When do you start to kind of connect with your character? I mean, is it when you're in the costume? Is it when you're doing the prep? Is it like what you said in when you find the voice? Or when do you start to kind of, I guess, if not understand, at least connect with the character?
I feel for me, it has to do with the time I spend with the character. So I start with reading, and every single time, and that's for every project, particularly, I mean, and this one in particular, because just the vastness of it, the richness of the script, the amount of planets, of characters that have such, defined characteristic and personalities. I knew at first I was like, how am I going to find this? And there is that fear a tiny bit at the beginning. It's like, am I going to be able to nail this, or am I going to be able to find her? And the truth is, it's the time that you spend with your character that would then all of a sudden it will come to you if you give it the time. And I knew that we started filming in April, and I did ask, as soon as stunt is going in pre-production, I want to be in the room, because I wanted to do like anything, even just, and I would do my homework at home, and I would go with the stunt guys, because I knew the physicality of my character is something that she has to assimilate at such a young age. So and there were times that I found Cora in the stunt room, and there are times that I found Cora at home. But it's essentially the time that I spent, and the magic that happened is that all of a sudden, one day something click. Whether you're at home, even sometime on set, even on the last day of filming, I would find things about Cora that is still that you keep building your character until the last moment. But there is a moment, it's true, before starting my first day of filming, the way I see it is that I start threading, even if you start in the middle, like sometimes you start shooting the last scene of movie number 1, for example. But I thread from what I film, because anything can change on camera, right? But you establish your character, and then you always go back and think about what you've done and what defines your character. And I always thread from what I filmed. But yeah, it's just, I think what I found, the relationship with the clothes is really important. And you find that in the process is so enjoyable for me. It's finding with the hair, makeup, and clothes. It definitely indicates and gives you the character 100%. But it's the time that you spend that all of a sudden start building the characteristic. And
I think that an actor's fear is how long does it take me to really find it? Because when we step on set, my first day I stepped on set, I had clear intentions. I'd done a lot of work. I knew the script inside out. But you don't know until you put it down, and you don't know until you look at the other characters, and you haven't walked in their shoes. So my first day on set was on the moon in Gondoval, when I had everybody lined up. And when I watched that scene, my cheekbones aren't my face is not the same as it became. The way I'm filling out my shirt is not the same. And this is not just an aesthetic thing. This is Noble in his entirety. So I can see the scenes where I'm like, okay, this was the beginning of Noble, and then there was a certain point where I did kind of find him. And like I say, an actor's fear is that, like, how long does it take me to find him? And I think I feel like for this, definitely it came in stages. It began in London, and then a lot of it was about the physicality, though. And again, my stunt double Spider helped me a lot with that, and just the way that I held the staff and the little touches. But then so much is in the physicality, and it took probably a couple of months to come in. I mean, I think when we talk about the Olivia Colman, I actually think if you watch that scene in Gondoval, I'm not speaking like Olivia Colman in that scene. I think that came when I shot the stuff on Velt with Sindri, and thereafter. So I think is I noticed that when I watched it. I noticed that, So it's interesting, but like, this is the stuff that's fun for us. If it's not, if finding the character, if you don't have that journey, then what do you have? It's just bread and butter. It's just boring work, and it can't be that way.
Can't be that, of course. Yeah. Okay, I'm getting a wrap. Thanks so much.
Nice one, man. Thank you.
It's a new age for the universe.